Hello and welcome back. This is a chapter about books and bird books and how to recognize birds with a book and which kind of books then you should have in your backpack. If you are in the field with your binoculars and you see a bird, what kind of book would you need? I think you would go for a pocket guide. This is very old re-editioned pocket guide. Like in ancient times they did it like this. It was 1898. Someone edited this, so little, one drawing per page, one species per page, some text, and that would give you the guide of all the possible birds you could see. Since then they've made progress. The drawings are not that good. This was funnily, it was divided by, it was done by a duke, by the way. Funnily, the world was divided, the bird world, between useful and useless. So it was written above it like, yes, useful or useless. And this was mainly, for instance, the kingfisher was useless because it ate fishes, of course. So it was very useless. Anyway, so since then the bird guides have made progress, and I will talk you through this. Like, what would you need? This is one which I have. Oh, my whole thing is falling here. Since long time I have. Come on, yeah. I use this one, a bird pocket guide, and you would see. So a lot of images, some maps of Europe with summer and winter times and whether they would be around or not, and some comparison and some text at about 3 birds per page, and that would be my holiday companion for a long time. Very happy from Europe, and then after a while I found this one. I got this one, much better, Lars Johnson, Birds of Europe. And I love the book. I still use it. It's a bit more heavy, but anyway, you would have more detailed, more images in detail, a lot to compare, 3 per page, and also some maps here and there. And I would prefer indeed to have images because drawings, because if you would. It's very difficult, for instance, to have this one as photograph of all these different birds in the same posture. So for me, the drawings are for this use better than photographs. Then that would be a bit expensive, €100. But I found also these ones in Dutch, but they exist also in French and in English, where it all started. Peter Heyman, the Birdwatchers Pocket Guide, and so same principle. So one bird, a lot of images, drawings, little text, and a few birds per page. And for me, this is a great little booklet. I don't think whether it's still around, but get it. That's an important one. That's a very nice one. Otherwise, if you find for something more bigger ones, I like this one, Birds of Britain and Europe, of the RSPB. Lovely book with nice photographs. So one page, one species, a lot of photographs, a lot of drawings, a lot of information, very good information. Recent book. I love it. I'm very happy with it. It comes also with a CD where you can listen to the bird songs, and it's not a lot to say against this. I love it. So kind of pocket guide is a bit heavy, but anyway. And otherwise you could think of a bird book like a table book, where you would have one page and one more information, more drawings, a bit wider setup. But this, of course, you don't bring with you. But if you have birds around your house, this is a kind of book that you could consider in your own language, of course. So that is about what you could see and do when you're in the field Now around that there are a lot of other things. You know, it's a whole world of books. Oh yes, I have this. I always forget this one. In France, they have given out this one, which is a great book about. It's not a field guide, but it's a guide about birds and birds of France in this case. So every species has one page, double page, with everything, and it's also very well done. It's a bit like the Brits book there, and then in French. It's lovely done. So that's another principle of learning about birds. Basically, it's all about comparing. So if you have this kind of books, I would say flick it through rather often, and you will know more and more. You don't unconsciously, you get the images in your mind. The more often you do it, it's like with the publicity on the radio, on the television, the adverts. Like the more and more you see them, the more and more you have them on top of your mind. And then if you come across a bird that you don't know, then you have all these families in your head, like, oh, it might be that one, might be that one. And then you can, in your book, you can compare them. And that's, and once you have them compared one and the other, and once you know which one it is, of course, then you can go into depth and check it out on the internet, on Wikipedia or on other websites where you can find more details if you would like to, and not to have the books. But well, while I have them, I'll talk you through the rest. So if you go traveling, I buy locally, or I buy a book with birds, like for this one, for India, the Indian subcontinent. I've been to Nepal and have had a lot of fun with this little booklet, because it's then a completely new world for me. It's a new kind of language, and for me it's quite fun. Or other ones like the States or the Antilles or other things. Oh, here's one you might like, Pembrokeshire. I loved there. Then so that's about the regions where you can go. Then another one, well, children, of course, they have their own little book. This is not, I don't find it very, very good. There is a very little set, very less drawings, little drawings, and a lot of dense information. Even as an adult, I wouldn't like it too much. So probably, well, I'm not sure about this one. And then you can say something about special species. Like for instance, this is bird of prey. One book of bird of prey only, take like this, of Europe. So you would have loads and loads, only these drawings to compare, and more drawings to compare, and more and more and more. And this is really going into detail. This is just one species, and one several pages every now and then on species, same species, and some photos with it. And this is the very complete book about birds of prey. And if you compare that with how we started out, this is also bird of prey in Dutch. How I started out, this is then probably 30, 40 years ago. This was quite a boring thing to learn about birds of prey. Whereas now, well, you find it also boring, but anyway, I find it more lively with all these images and things. You can do a bit the same about other birds, like for instance, coastal and seabirds of the entire world. So you don't have to be on one region. It's the entire world in one book. So all these things are possible. Another thing is, this is the swift. There's just a monography. It's just a portrait. There's no images, only text. All little facts and things about the swift. And in Dutch, they have a series with monographies about special birds, and it's quite interesting to read one or two of them or more. Right, what else? Then behaviors. So there's also about bird behavior, like migration, book about migration of birds. And here is one which you would like, probably avian architecture. This is about how birds build their nests worldwide, and what is about the construction, about the maps, how they do it. There is floor plans and other things, the sequence, how they do it, and it's a lovely book. I love it, and a lot of little knowledges here and there. So that's about what they do. then I think last one is where they are. So this was my the first book I bought. I was 6 when I got the first book, and 10 when I had shared my money, my pocket money all together. Every day I would go into a bakery and help them, and I would get 1 guilder, so 50 euro cents. And I shared it, and then there was this book that came out, and it was called Birds of Friesland, and I love birds, and I lived in Friesland, so this was my book. And I did not know that it was such a scientific, thick, boring book what I bought. So all my pocket money has gone into this, and that's because of the anecdote. I kept it. And so you would see here the province, and then with some the places would be mentioned where it would breed or not. And then there's a story about all the birds that live in this region. And the same story is valid still. Same approaches done by scientists. Like this is the atlas of the birds, the nesting birds of the region here where I live now. So this came out probably, I don't know, 8 years ago. So this would be the region, also the dots where the nests are. In this case, they would have also the height where the birds live, in which height you would see them, and then something about one species, 1 double page, a bit about the bird itself, and then about the threats and how they develop themselves and where you can spot them and all these other things. So this is more a table book, and interesting to have if you live in this region. But well, going out, like I want to show like all types of bird book are possible. It's just whatever you would like, what you fancy, you can find it. If you set out to go really bird watching, I would advise you buy something of this kind, not the old ways, of course. So check something out which has a lot of images, nice images that you think, yeah, that's a real bird. I think that's the reality. Like for instance the Peter Heyman, the cheaper one, or the Lars Johnson, or if you want the Birds of Britain. These kind of books really will help you to determine what kind of bird you're looking at. Okay, I hope you like it. Many thanks for listening, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye.